Tomas Rivera wiped sweat from his brow as he navigated the pristine corridors of the Kalthori diplomatic vessel. As the newest technician assigned to the Human Kalthori Alliance project, he'd drawn the short straw, fixing environmental controls in the quarters of Commander Naya, the most intimidating Kalthori officer aboard the station. Just don't stare, don't speak unless spoken to, and for God's sake don't comment on their height, his supervisor had warned. The Kalthori stood nearly 8 feet tall, with sleek exoskeletons that humans often mistook for armor, but was actually part of their anatomy. The door to Commander Naya's quarters hissed open. Tomas stepped in, toolkit clutched against his chest, and immediately felt like he'd entered a temple. The room was bathed in cool blue light that seemed to emanate from nowhere and everywhere at once. Geometric patterns adorned the walls, and the air carried a faint scent like cinnamon and ozone. "You are the environmental technician." The statement came from behind him, causing Tomas to jump and spin around. Commander Naya stood in the doorway, her imposing frame blocking the exit. Her exoskeleton gleamed silver with iridescent blue accents that matched her quarters. But what drew Tomas's gaze, before he could stop himself, was the glowing core at her midsection. Every Kalthori had one, a bioluminescent organ visible through a transparent section of their exoskeleton. It typically pulsed a steady blue, the color of calm rationality that the Kalthori prized above all else. But Commander Naya's core flickered erratically, flashing between blue and an unusual amber hue he'd never seen in Kalthori before. "Yes, Commander," Tomas managed, quickly averting his eyes to her face, which meant looking almost straight up. "The environmental controls are malfunctioning. Temperature regulation is off by 7 degrees. Commander Naya tilted her head, her four-fingered hand gesturing toward a panel near what humans would call a bedroom. "The fault is there. You may proceed." Tomas nodded and set to work, trying to focus on the malfunctioning circuits rather than the towering alien behind him. He could feel her watching his every move, evaluating him with those large, silver-irised eyes. "You are different from the previous technicians," Commander Naya observed after several minutes of silence. Her voice had a musical quality, like wind chimes made of crystal. Tomas continued working, unsure if he was meant to respond. "I'm newer to the station, Commander." "That is not what I meant." She moved closer, her shadow falling over him. "You do not fear me as the others do." Now he did look up, meeting her gaze. "I respect your position and your people, Commander, but no, I'm not afraid." Her core flashed amber again, more intensely this time, before settling back to blue. Curious, Tomas glanced down at it, then remembered the cultural briefing. Direct observation of a Kalthori's core was considered deeply personal, almost intimate. "Why are your eyes down there, human?" Her question broke the silence. Tomas felt heat rise to his face. "I apologize, Commander, I meant no disrespect." "You did not answer my question." Her head tilted again, a gesture he would later learn indicated curiosity rather than the aggression humans often misinterpreted it as. "Your core," he admitted, focusing on the repair panel. "It's pulsing differently than I've seen before. I should not have looked." Commander Naya was silent for so long that Tomas feared he'd caused a diplomatic incident. Finally, she spoke. "You are observant. Most humans pretend not to notice." "The colors change with emotion, don't they?" Tomas asked, then immediately regretted his boldness. "Yes," her answer was clipped, "but Kalthori do not discuss such things with outsiders." Tomas nodded and returned to his work, aware he'd crossed a line. The atmosphere in the room had shifted, becoming charged with something he couldn't name. As he finished the repairs, Commander Naya moved to stand by a viewport overlooking the stars. "Your work is satisfactory," she said without turning, "but the temperature is still not correct." "I can adjust it to your preference," Tomas offered. "The system insists on human standard temperatures. It will not accept Kalthori parameters." Tomas frowned. "That shouldn't happen with the Alliance's integrated systems." "May I check something else, Commander?" She gestured permission, and he moved to another panel, accessing deeper control systems. As he worked, he became aware that Commander Naya had moved closer again, much closer. When he turned, he found her leaning down, studying him with those silvery eyes. Her core pulsed rapidly now, amber and blue swirling together like a storm. "Your eyes," she said softly, "they change too. Subtle dilation, blood flow shifting the coloration, not unlike our cores though less visible." Tomas stood frozen, suddenly aware of how close they were, how the air between them seemed electric. "I'll fix your temperature controls properly, Commander," he said finally, his voice steadier than he felt. "It's what I'm here for." Her mouth, so different from human lips, curved slightly. "Indeed, Technician Tomas Rivera, and I find myself unexpectedly curious about what else you might be here for." The core at her center flashed bright amber, and for the first time, Tomas wondered what that particular color might mean to the Kelthori, and why he seemed to be causing it. 3 days after their first encounter, Tomas found himself summoned back to Commander Nea's quarters. This time, it wasn't for environmental controls but for unspecified technical consultation, according to his work order. He pressed the chime at her door with more confidence than he felt. When it slid open, he was surprised to find the lighting dimmer, more reminiscent of Earth twilight than the harsh Kelthori standard. "You requested technical assistance, Commander," Tomas asked, stepping inside. Commander Nea stood by a holographic display showing what appeared to be human cultural archives. She turned, her exoskeleton catching the low light in ways that made it seem alive rather than metallic. "Technician Rivera," she acknowledged, "I require information that is not available in our databases." Tomas approached cautiously. "I'll help if I can." "Explain human emotional displays," she said abruptly, "specifically what you call blushing." He blinked in surprise. "That's not really a technical question." Her core, which had been a steady blue, flickered amber briefly. "Our alliance protocols state that technical staff are to assist with cross-cultural integration. Is this incorrect?" "No, you're right," Tomas conceded. "Blushing is an involuntary physiological response. When humans feel embarrassed, our capillaries dilate, sending more blood to the face, causing redness." "Involuntary," she repeated, stepping closer, "like our cores." Tomas nodded, understanding dawning. "Yes, though humans can learn to control blushing somewhat, just as I understand Kelthori practice core regulation." "You are perceptive." She gestured to a seating area that hadn't been present during his first visit. "I have configured this space for human comfort. Please assist me further." Tomas sat on what resembled a cushioned bench, while Commander Nea lowered herself onto a structure more suitable for Kelthori physiology. Even seated, she towered over him. "In our culture," she began, "the core is considered the center of reason, not emotion. From childhood, we are taught to maintain the blue resonance of logic. Other colors are discouraged." "But they happen anyway," Tomas observed. Her silver eyes fixed on him. "Yes, especially in my presence, it seems." Tomas felt heat rising to his face, the very phenomenon they were discussing. "I don't mean to cause disruption." "You misunderstand," she said, her core pulsing that curious amber again. "I find it fascinating. Among my kind, I am known for exceptional control, yet when you are near." She didn't finish the sentence, but her core flared brightly enough to cast shadows. "May I ask," Tomas ventured, "what does amber signify?" Commander Nea was silent for a long moment. "It is rare, associated with curiosity, discovery, sometimes desire." The word desire hung between them like a tangible thing. "Your people don't value these feelings?" Tomas asked. "They are considered primitive, remnants of our evolutionary past." She stood suddenly, moving to a panel on the wall. "Come, I wish to show you something few outsiders have seen." The panel slid away, revealing what appeared to be a small greenhouse. Inside, bioluminescent plants pulsed with the same colors he'd seen in Kelthori cores, blue, amber, and others he couldn't name. "These are Cathara," she explained. "They grow only on our homeworld, sensitive to emotional energies. Our ancestors believed they reflected the soul." Tomas stepped inside, marveling at the delicate tendrils that seemed to reach toward him. "They're beautiful." "Touch one," she instructed. Hesitantly, he extended his hand toward a blue glowing frond. As his fingers made contact, the plant's color shifted to a deep purple. "It responds to you," Commander Nea said, her voice uncharacteristically soft. "Purple indicates depth of feeling, complexity." "And what does it show for you?" Tomas asked. Instead of answering, she placed her four-fingered hand next to his on the plant. Where their energies mingled, the Cathara blazed gold. "I have never seen this color response before," she whispered, her core pulsing in rhythm with the plant. Tomas found himself holding his breath. "What does it mean?" "I do not know," her silver eyes met his, "but I believe it warrants further investigation." The moment was interrupted by a chime from her communication device. Commander Nea straightened, her professional demeanor returning instantly. "The Kelthori High Command requires my attention," she said, her core fatting back to blue, "but I would like to continue our cultural exchange." "I'd like that too," Tomas replied, surprised by how much he meant it. As he left her quarters, he couldn't help noticing that the Cathara plants continued pulsing gold long after they had stopped touching them. Something was happening between them that transcended their species' differences, something neither human technology nor Kelthori tradition had prepared them for. In the corridor, Tomas nearly collided with another Kelthori officer, who regarded him with obvious suspicion. "Your business with Commander Nea," the officer demanded. "Technical consultation, sir," Tomas answered truthfully. The officer's core remained a rigid blue. "Be warned, human, Commander Nea is vital to our diplomatic mission. Distractions would be unwelcome." As the officer strode away, Tomas realized their cultural exchange might be more complicated and dangerous than he had anticipated. Yet the memory of gold light and amber cores drew him forward into unknown territory, where logic and emotion blended into something entirely new. The station emergency klaxon jolted Tomas from sleep. Red warning lights pulsed throughout his quarters as the automated system announced, "Critical failure in life support section 4. All technical personnel report to emergency stations." Section 4, where the Kelthori delegation was housed, where Commander Nea was quartered. Tomas grabbed his emergency kit and ran. The corridors were chaos, with humans and aliens moving with urgent purpose. When he reached Section 4, he found atmosphere barriers already in place, sealing off the affected area from the rest of the station. Rivera, his supervisor, waved him over to a control panel. "We've got atmospheric contamination, some kind of interaction between our air filtration and Kelthori biochemistry. They're trapped inside." Tomas's heart raced. "Commander Nea." "Still in there with 3 other Kelthori officials. They've sealed themselves in an inner chamber, but their environmental systems are failing. We need to override and fix this fast." Through the transparent barrier, Tomas could see Kelthori technicians working frantically at their own panels. Their movements were becoming sluggish, a bad sign. "I need to get in there," Tomas said, already pulling on an environmental suit. His supervisor grabbed his arm. "Too dangerous, we'll handle it from out here." "With respect, sir, I've studied their systems. I know what to look for." He didn't add that he'd spent hours researching Kelthori physiology ever since his first meeting with Commander Nea. After a tense moment, his supervisor nodded. 15 minutes, that's all the air you'll have." Tomas sealed his helmet and stepped through the atmospheric barrier. The air inside was visibly tainted, a faint purplish haze that the suit's sensors immediately flagged as toxic to both species. He moved quickly to the inner chamber door and signaled for entry. When it opened, Commander Nea stood there, her imposing frame somehow vulnerable now. Her core pulsed erratically, flashing not just blue and amber but also red and purple. Behind her, the other Kelthori officials reclined in what appeared to be a form of meditative trance to conserve oxygen. "Technician Rivera," she said, her voice raspier than usual. "The integration circuit between our systems and yours has malfunctioned." Tomas moved to the control panel, his fingers flying across the alien interface. "The chemical recyclers are fighting each other. Our system sees your atmospheric adjustments as contamination and is trying to filter them out." "Can you correct it?" Her voice was steady, but her core blazed red with what he recognized as concern, perhaps fear. "I think so, but I'll need access to your override codes." She hesitated only briefly before placing her hand on the panel, authorizing full access. As Tomas worked, Commander Nea stayed close, occasionally suggesting adjustments that helped bridge the gap between the two technologies. "5 minutes left on your air supply," his supervisor's voice crackled through his communicator. Sweat beaded inside Tomas's helmet as he made the final connections. Almost there. The ventilation system shuddered, then hummed back to life. The purplish haze began to clear as fresh air circulated. "Atmospheric contamination decreasing," announced the station's computer. "Life support returning to normal parameters." The other Kelthori officials began to stir from their conservation trances. One of them, the same officer who had warned Tomas in the corridor, fixed him with a suspicious gaze. "You have saved lives today, human," he acknowledged grudgingly. "But how did you know our system so intimately?" Before Tomas could respond, Commander Nea stepped forward. "I authorized an exchange of technical information days ago. Technician Rivera's knowledge was officially sanctioned." It wasn't entirely true, but the officer didn't challenge her authority. As the crisis subsided and other personnel entered to complete the repairs, Commander Nea gestured for Tomas to follow her to a quiet corner of the chamber. "Remove your helmet," she instructed. "The air is safe now." Tomas complied, taking a cautious breath. The air tasted clean again. "You risked yourself for us," she said quietly. Her core still pulsed with multiple colors, a display he'd never seen from her before. "It's my job," he answered, though they both knew it was more than that. Your heart was racing. I could see it through your suit." Her four-fingered hand moved, hovering just above his chest where his heart beat beneath his suit, then pulled back. You were afraid, yet you came. Oh yes. For once she didn't maintain her typical Kelthori reserve. Among my people, to show fear is weakness, to act despite fear is not disgust. Courage, Tomas supplied, humans consider it a virtue. As do Kelthori, though we pretend otherwise. Her core finally settled, but not to its usual blue. Instead, it glowed a steady amber with flickers of gold. We deny so much of what we feel in the name of logic and discipline. And what do you feel now? Tomas asked, emboldened by the day's events. Instead of answering with words, Commander Naya did something unprecedented. She reached out and took his hand, placing it directly against the transparent section of her exoskeleton over her pulsing core. The sensation was electric, warm energy thrumming against his palm like a second heartbeat. Tomas stood transfixed as her core blazed golden beneath his touch, the color spreading throughout the transparent section. This is not something we share, she whispered, her silver eyes wide. But you deserve truth after today. This is what I feel, connection, alignment, what humans might call attraction, Tomas finished for her, his voice barely audible. For one breathless moment, they stood connected, his hand on her core, her eyes locked with his. Then movement behind them broke the spell. The suspicious officer had noticed their interaction, his own core a rigid, disapproving blue. Commander Naya stepped back smoothly, but the damage was done. They had been seen. The technical crisis appears resolved, she said in her official voice. Your assistance is appreciated, Technician Rivera. Tomas nodded, understanding the necessity of the public formality. Always happy to help, Commander. But as he turned to leave, she spoke once more, so quietly only he could hear. I have meditation in the station Arboretum at 400 hours. The Cathara plants have been relocated there. It was an invitation he had no intention of declining, regardless of the consequences that surely awaited them both. The Arboretum at 400 station time was deserted, bathed in artificial moonlight designed to support the nocturnal plants. Tomas moved quietly among the alien flora, following the faint golden glow that seemed to call to him from a secluded corner. He found Commander Naya kneeling among the Cathara plants, which responded to her presence by pulsing synchronously with her core. She wore what appeared to be ceremonial attire rather than her usual exoskeleton armor, a flowing garment that left her luminous core uncovered. You came, she said without turning. It wasn't a question. Did you doubt I would? Tomas approached and knelt beside her, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from her body. No, but the logical course would have been to stay away. She finally turned to face him. What is happening between us is unprecedented, potentially problematic for both our peoples. Tomas reached out hesitantly, his fingers stopping just short of the transparent section over her core. May I? Instead of answering, she took his hand and guided it to her core, just as she had during the emergency. The sensation was even more intense than before, a resonance that seemed to vibrate through his entire body. Our cores are more than biological indicators, she explained, her voice taking on a husky quality he hadn't heard before. They are connection points, the Kelthori bond through them. And that's what's happening now, a bond. Her free hand traced the outline of his jaw, her alien touch surprisingly gentle. Something like it, though between our species it should be impossible. The Cathara plants around them intensified their glow, reaching toward them with luminous tendrils. Where the plants touched them, both human and Kelthori skin began to shimmer with the same golden light. What does it mean? Tomas whispered. I do not know, she admitted, but I feel everything. It is overwhelming. Without thinking, Tomas leaned forward until their foreheads touched, a human gesture of intimacy. Commander Naya stiffened momentarily, then relaxed into the contact. Her core blazed so brightly it cast shadows across the Arboretum. In human culture, he murmured, we would call this falling in love. Love, she tested the word, we have no direct translation. The closest concept is Cathara, the source for these plants' name. It means light that grows between souls. Tomas smiled. That's beautiful, more beautiful than our word, honestly. Perhaps. Her hands moved to his shoulders, her face tilting curiously. Humans express Cathara physically correct, with lips. His heart hammered in his chest. Yes, we call it kissing. Show me. Tomas hesitated only briefly before leaning in. The kiss was gentle, exploratory, a bridge between worlds. Her lips were cooler than human lips with a texture like velvet, but the sensation was electric. Where they connected, that same golden glow spread between them. When they finally parted, Commander Naya's core was pulsing in rapid, intense bursts. This is why Kalthori avoid emotional expression, she breathed. The intensity, it overwhelms logic. Is that so terrible? Tomas asked. Before she could answer, harsh light flooded the arboretum as the main illumination activated. They separated quickly, but not quickly enough. Commander Nea, the stern voice belonged to an elder Kalthori, his exoskeleton bearing the insignia of the High Council. Behind him stood the suspicious officer from earlier and two Kalthori guards. This display is unacceptable. Nea rose to her full impressive height, her core still glowing gold despite evident attempts to regulate it. Elder Thaxis, I was not aware you had arrived on the station. Clearly, the Elder's core was an unwavering blue, betraying no emotion. I was summoned when concerning reports reached the High Council, reports of inappropriate fraternization. His cold gaze fell on Tomas, who had also risen to stand beside Nea. This human has compromised your core regulation. Your emotional discipline is in ruins. With respect, Elder, Nea responded, my service record remains perfect. My duties are being reassigned, Elder Thaxis interrupted. You will return to the homeworld for purification and retraining. The human will be removed from the diplomatic section and restricted from contact with Kalthori personnel. Tomas felt as if the air had been sucked from his lungs. You can't just separate us. We've discovered something important, a new type of connection between our species. Precisely the problem, the elder said coldly. Kalthori do not connect emotionally. We maintain discipline, logic, order, he gestured to the guards. Escort the human to security for processing. As the guards moved forward, Nea stepped between them and Tomas. Her core, which had been fluctuating between gold and amber, suddenly blazed red. No, the word reverberated through the arboretum. I invoke the right of personal domain, as is my privilege as a commander of the Third Circle. Elder Thaxis's eyes widened slightly, the first hint of emotion he'd shown. You would challenge High Council authority for a human. I challenge the Council's right to dictate matters of personal connection. Her voice was steady, powerful. Our history records the Cathara bond. It is rare but sacred even in our oldest traditions. Between Kalthori, the elder insisted, not with aliens who barely understand our ways. Tomas stepped forward. I've studied your traditions. I know the Cathara plants only respond to genuine emotional resonance. They can't be fooled by artificial means. What's happening between us is real. As if in response, the plants around them intensified their glow, reaching upward with golden tendrils. Elder Thaxis looked disturbed for the first time. The plants respond to him. Yes, Nea confirmed. As they have since our first meeting, something unprecedented is occurring, something that deserves study, not suppression. A tense silence filled the arboretum. Finally, the elder spoke. Your career is at stake, Commander, your place in Kalthori society. Are you certain this connection is worth such sacrifice? Nea's hand found Tomas's, their fingers intertwining despite their different anatomies. I am certain that denying truth is never the path of logic, and the truth is that we have formed a bond that transcends species. Then you leave me no choice. Elder Thaxis turned to the suspicious officer. Prepare the commander's personal items for transport. She will return to the homeworld within the hour. And the human, the officer asked, will remain here restricted from Kalthori contact. The elder's gaze hardened. This aberration will be studied but controlled, separated. As the Kalthori delegation turned to leave, Nea squeezed Tomas's hand once before reluctantly releasing it. Her core pulsed with a deep purple hue he hadn't seen before. This isn't over, she whispered to him. What exists between us cannot be extinguished by distance or decree. Tomas watched helplessly as she was escorted from the arboretum, wondering if he would ever see her again, or if the golden light they had discovered together would fade like a distant star, beautiful but ultimately unreachable. 2 months passed like an eternity. Tomas had been reassigned to the outer ring of the station, far from the diplomatic quarters and any chance of encountering Kalthori personnel. He worked mechanically, his thoughts constantly drifting to Commander Nea and the golden light they had shared. The Cathara plants in the arboretum had withered after her departure, their luminescence fading to dull browns and grays. Station botanists were baffled by their decline, but Tomas understood they were responding to the broken connection. Rivera, his supervisor, called one morning, "You're wanted in the director's office, immediately." Tomas's heart raced as he made his way to the administrative section. Had there been news of Nea, or was he in trouble again? Director Quan, the human head of the station, was not alone when Tomas entered. Beside her desk stood Elder Thaxis, his rigid blue core visible through his ceremonial robes. Technician Rivera, the director began formally. Elder Thaxis has requested your presence for a matter of diplomatic importance. The elder studied Tomas with those unreadable silver eyes. The Kalthori High Council has been conducting extensive research since Commander Nea's return to the homeworld. Tomas steeled himself, and what have you found? That she was correct. The admission seemed to cost the elder something. The Cathara bond she formed with you is genuine, a phenomenon not recorded in our history for over 10 millennia, when our ancestors first encountered the Vexari species. Hope flared in Tomas's chest. Then you understand it's real, not some aberration. Real, yes. Unprecedented between our species, also yes. Elder Thaxis's core remained steadfastly blue. Commander Nea has undergone intense questioning and physical examination. Her core patterns remain disrupted. You mean she still feels the connection, Tomas translated. The elder inclined his head slightly. Despite all efforts to restore proper regulation, yes. So why are you here? Tomas asked, daring to hope. The High Council values logic above all else, and logic dictates that when evidence contradicts theory, the theory must be reconsidered. The elder produced a small device from his robes. This contains visual communication from Commander Nea. You may view it privately. After Elder Thaxis and Director Quan stepped out, Tomas activated the device with trembling hands. A holographic image of Nea appeared, her tall form slightly translucent but unmistakable. Her core pulsed with that same golden light he remembered. Tomas, her recorded message began. I hope this finds you well. My return to the homeworld has been challenging. The High Council initially believed our connection could be severed through purification rituals and biological intervention. Her image smiled slightly, a gesture she must have learned from humans. They were wrong. The Cathara bond cannot be broken once formed. Our ancient texts spoke of this, though the knowledge had been suppressed for generations. She gestured to her glowing core. I no longer attempt to regulate the colors. I have embraced what flows between us, even across the vastness of space. And in doing so, I have made a discovery that has shaken Kalthori society. Her expression grew serious. Emotional connection does not weaken us, it strengthens us in ways pure logic cannot. My performance in leadership trials has improved, not diminished. My decision-making incorporates intuition with logic, creating more nuanced outcomes. She paused, her core pulsing faster. I have been granted permission to return to the station, not as a disciplined offender, but as an ambassador for a new understanding between our peoples. But only if you also wish it. The hologram flickered as she moved closer, as if trying to reach through the projection. What we discovered together cannot be undone, Tomas, nor would I wish it to be. The question is, do you still feel the light between us? The recording ended, leaving Tomas standing in silence, his heart pounding. When Elder Thaxis and Director Quan returned, he had composed himself. Elder, he said formally, please inform the High Council that my answer is yes. 2 weeks later, Tomas stood in the docking bay as the Kalthori diplomatic vessel arrived. His palms were sweating, his heart racing with anticipation and uncertainty. What if their connection had changed? What if the distance had altered what they felt? The airlock cycled open. First came the Kalthori honor guard, then Elder Thaxis, who now wore robes with gold accents that would have been unthinkable months ago. And then, finally, Commander Nea. She had changed. Her exoskeleton armor now featured intricate patterns that framed her core rather than minimizing it. And the core itself pulsed openly with gold and amber light, visible to all rather than regulated to the traditional blue. As their eyes met across the docking bay, Tomas felt it. The same resonance, the same connection, but stronger now. Without caring about protocol or the watching crowd, he walked forward to meet her. Commander, he said formally, though his smile betrayed his emotion. Tomas. Her use of his first name in public sent murmurs through both the human and Kalthori observers. My core has been calling to you across the stars. I've felt it, he admitted, every day. She extended her four-fingered hand, and he took it without hesitation. Where they touched, that now familiar golden glow appeared on both their skins. Elder Thaxis stepped forward. The High Council has approved a new diplomatic initiative. Commander Nea will lead research into interspecies bonding, with Technician Rivera assigned as the human liaison. Director Quan nodded. Our council has also approved the joint research program. You'll be working together officially now. But Tomas barely heard them. All he could focus on was Nea's face, her silver eyes reflecting the golden light that pulsed between them. There is something I learned on the homeworld, she said softly. a traditional greeting between those who share Cathara. Before he could ask what she meant, she leaned down and pressed her forehead to his. Then, to the shock of the Kalthori delegation, brushed her lips against his in a perfect imitation of a human kiss. The golden light flared around them, so bright that several onlookers stepped back in surprise. When they separated, both of their faces were illuminated with the same glow. The ancient texts speak of shared light, Nea explained, wonder in her voice. When the bond is acknowledged by both parties without reservation, it becomes visible to all. Elder Thaxis bowed his head in a gesture of acceptance. It appears there is much more for both our peoples to learn about connection. Later, in the privacy of the Arboretum, Tomas and Nea stood among the Cathara plants, which had begun to revive the moment she returned to the station. Their tendrils reached upward, wrapping gently around both human and Kalthori arms. "Your people have agreed to allow this?" Tomas asked, still hardly believing the change. "Not all," she admitted. "Some traditionalists still believe emotional expression weakens us, but enough saw the evidence that our bonding enhanced rather than diminished my abilities." Her fingers traced patterns on his palm. Logic had to acknowledge truth. "And the truth is..." Her core pulsed with that beautiful golden light as she drew him closer. "That boundaries between species, between feeling and thinking, between what we were taught and what we can become, all of these are more permeable than we believed." "A new understanding," Tomas murmured. "Yes," she rested her forehead against his, their shared light illuminating the darkness around them. "And a new beginning, for us and perhaps for all our peoples." As their lips met, the Cathara plants burst into bloom around them, their golden light spreading throughout the Arboretum like stars being born. Whatever challenges awaited them, they would face them together, their connection transcending the differences between their worlds, illuminating a path that neither had walked before. The core between them pulsed as one, a bridge across the cosmos, a light that could not be extinguished.